Good evening. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been asked many questions about the coronavirus job retention scheme. And indeed, over the weekend of the 4th of April 2020, HMRC has now updated its guidance on the grants available under the scheme. So here's a quick update on what we know so far within the SME sector and the answers to the common questions which have been raised to me. So firstly, who does the Corona Job Retention Scheme apply to? Well, essentially it's any entity with a UK payroll and a UK bank account that will be able to claim under the scheme. This includes individuals, businesses, charities, recruitment agencies, and some public authorities. What does furloughing a member of staff actually mean? Well, despite someone who will remain nameless thinking that a furloughed worker was someone who had stopped working with their current employer and had gone to work on a farm, furloughed workers are those where their employers cannot cover staff costs due to the coronavirus, and as such they've been asked to stop working, but importantly have not been made redundant. It is important that furloughed employees should not undertake any work. When will the online HMRC service be available? The online service to make your claims is expected to be available at the end of April 2020. You will need to calculate the amount being claimed. Don't worry, if you are a client and we prepare your payroll, we will carry out these calculations for you for the staff who are affected. Will you, as my agent, be able to apply for me? It isn't clear yet, but we're definitely hoping to do this for you and take away the pain. What information will I need to be able to claim? At this moment in time, you will need your ePAYE reference number, the number of employees being furloughed, the claim period, so that's the start and the end date, and remember these cannot be before the 1st of March 2020 or after the 31st of May 2020, the amount being claimed, the relevant bank account number and sort code, the claimant's contact name, and a contact phone number. It's expected that after checking the claim, HMRC will pay it by backs to your UK bank account. Will HMRC check my disclosures? In a word, yes. HMRC will retain the right to check into any or all claims at a later date. Can I backdate my director's pay to the 28th of February 2020? Again, in a word, no. In our view, not only is this morally wrong, but it could also be deemed fraud. Will HMRC pay my employees the 80% element? No. You as the employer must pay the employee. You cannot make any additional charges or deductions against the grant. For what period can I claim for? Some employers will be able to backdate claims to the 1st of March 2020. However, this is only expected to be relevant to a very small percentage. At this current time, the scheme will run until the 31st of May 2020. How is the amount calculated? The amount of salary on which the grant claim is based, and remember this is per employee that is furloughed, is the lower of £2,500 plus the associated employer's national insurance costs and pension contributions, or 80% of the monthly employee salary. How is the monthly salary to be calculated? What about commissions, etc.? Okay, this is where we get into slightly more detail. For employees on a regular salary, we can use 80% of the employee's gross salary as at 28th of February 2020. For an employee who has been employed for more than 12 months, but whose pay varies, we can use the highest of the same month's earnings from the previous year or an average monthly earnings for the tax year 2019-2020. For those employees who have been employed for less than 12 months, we can make a claim for 80% of their average monthly earnings since they started work. If the employee only started in February 2020, we need to prorate their earnings to date and use that as a basis. As the employers, you can claim for any regular payments that you're obliged to pay the employee. This includes wages, past overtime, fees, and compulsory commission payments. However, things like discretionary bonuses, tips, non-cash payments, etc. should all be excluded. Essentially, it is the contractual amount of pay and should not include any monetary benefits or salary sacrifice. What is the minimum period of furlough leave? Employees must be furloughed for a minimum period of 3 consecutive weeks. When they return to work, they must be taken off furlough. Employees can be furloughed multiple times, but each separate instance must be for a minimum period of 3 consecutive weeks. Can employees work for another employer during their time off on furlough leave? Employees can work for a different and unconnected employer during this period. They can also carry out voluntary work. Can I request that a furloughed employee carry out training? A worker can undertake training as long as that training does not provide services to or generate revenue for or on behalf of your organisation. The guidance actually specifically states that furloughed employees should be encouraged to undertake training. Is the grant taxable? The grant paid to the employer is included within the business's taxable profits for income tax or corporation tax purposes. There are potentially some further questions here relating to non-trading activities, and these will be addressed when further information is known. Now really one of the main questions for me over the past couple of weeks. I am a director and shareholder. Can I furlough myself? This is an interesting question and one that has been long debated in accountancy forums over the past couple of weeks. The HMRC guidance over the weekend confirms our understanding that directors, including those of their own personal service company, can be furloughed. The guidance goes on to say and remind companies that company directors owe duties to their company which are set out in the Companies Act 2006. Where a company considers that it is in compliance with the statutory duties of one or more of its individual salaried directors, the board can decide that such directors should be furloughed. Where one or more individual directors' furlough is so decided by the board, this should be formally adopted as a decision of the company and noted in the company records and communicated in writing to the director or directors concerned. Essentially, you need to minute this in a board meeting. Where furloughed directors need to carry out particular duties to fulfil these statutory obligations that they owe to the company, they may do so provided that they do no more than would reasonably be judged necessary for that purpose. For instance, they should not do work of a kind they would carry out in normal circumstances to generate commercial revenue or provide services to or on behalf of their company. It's interesting here as I feel that there may be some challenges around the HMRC interpretation of the Companies Act. All I can advise at the moment is to watch this space and await further guidance when more information becomes available. Remember, as always, if you have any questions, please call us on 01438 53 22 30 or email us at support@accountingandbeyond.co.uk. Thanks for your time.